Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Today is Thursday, March 2nd. We are here meeting on behalf of Cluster API provider Azure for the weekly CAPZ office hours. CAPZ is part of the Cluster API ecosystem, which is a part of SIG cluster lifecycle under the CNCF. We abide by the CNCF code of conduct, so please be kind to one another. Raise hands to speak up. We'd love to include all voices in this meeting. At the beginning of each meeting, we, by convention, love to hear from any newcomers. So if you are new, please raise hands and I will happily call on you to introduce yourself if you'd like. If for any other reason you'd like to raise hand and introduce yourself, please do that as well. I'll pause now. Okay. Going once, going twice, going three times. Hello, regular folks. All right, so feel free to add any topics if you're kind of doing this in real time, and we'll get to that in due course. It looks like milestone goes at the end. And that means we're going to get to the first topic. So Nawaz and Willie are, this is a PSA for anybody to announce, so I will happily announce it. I'm super pleased to announce that Nawaz and Willie are both in the process of becoming official CAPZ reviewers. So let's see if I can quickly pull up those PRs.
I linked to them there. That's what those links are, actually.
Oh, great. That's too tricky.
I know, it looks like it's
like myself.
Username, but
I would have been happy to tweet Nawaz as well. All right, so there's the PR for Nawaz. It's open. I know that both of these PRs have not quite 100%, but near 100% consensus. So please feel free. Imagine that you're at a wedding and add your note of congratulations and approval. And of course, if you have any objections, we welcome those. I don't expect any of those. Willie, Nawaz, so happy to be formalizing what's already real in the project. So that's our first PSA. Looks like we have another PSA. Go ahead, Matt.
It just seems like this is a good chance to point out what hopefully is obvious, but if anyone who participates in the project is interested in becoming a reviewer, please keep reviewing PRs and just say so. We would love to have more reviewers.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling that out. And let's add, so I think that that's super important for us to emphasize. If we want to go into a little bit more detail, there is actually an officially documented set of requirements for becoming a reviewer. As Matt said, the first step towards this is just getting involved, hanging out with us here, throwing your 2 cents in various PRs. And really, the great thing about these requirements, they're fairly concrete, and so you have to do some work, but it really is open to all. So anybody can become a reviewer in this project if you're eager to do so, and if you're actively involved in the process of the normal flow of development in CAPZ, and we'd be delighted to have as many reviewers as folks want. Okay, so the next line item has to do with patch release. So thank you to whomever documented the difference between 1.7 and 1.6. So it looks like 1.6 has nothing beyond 1.6.3. So the open question really is 1.7.3. I'm going to guess that Matt did this, and this is a fancy link to the Delta, because now I'm starting to get his style. All right. So I will visualize the set of changes that are ready for release. So maybe I'll mute my mic and let folks speak if they'd like a patch release, or more importantly, if you definitely don't, because there's something else that's going to land soon that's going to be cherry picked in. So I'll shut up now. Cool. No comments is also totally great. So I will take that, at least now, as a leaning toward not cutting a release today. We can also continue this discussion on Slack. Really, we just want to be as responsive as possible to community demand, and let us know on Slack or raise hand later in the meeting if you come later if you want to talk about this. Does that seem fair? Cool. All right. Looks like Daniel, you have a agenda item, so I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks. I was asking in Slack about an issue that I'm seeing with credentials, and in order to reproduce, so I can reproduce it with sort of my own stack, but I'm wondering what, if there's some more efficient way that I could write up a repro so I could file an issue. The way that I reproduce it is end to end deploying or creating two separate Azure clusters, and then actually having those reconciled and requests going out to the API. So I think I could do that, and if that's an acceptable repro, I guess whoever has access to Azure resources can follow those steps. But I was wondering if there's something, potentially that could be more, where I could reproduce this maybe without going end to end. I'm not sure, but
Right. Thanks for all that background. Without knowing more detail, it's hard, I think, for me. Ashtosh, actually, you're raising your hand. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Check this fine. You can go ahead and I'll speak up to you. No problem.
No, you were raising your hand first. I insist.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to confirm, is this the same Slack thread that Clinton started sometime back regarding Azure identity?
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll put it on the chat.
Yeah, I'll have it add a brief remark. Generally speaking, I don't know the answer to that question, Daniel, without knowing more detail. So it's totally normal to start by documenting exactly what you're seeing in your practical environment and giving us as much detail in that sense for us to repro in our practical environments. So for folks who have Azure resources, I think that's a fair first step. It is possible that what's ultimately going on doesn't require the scaffolding of Azure resources, but oftentimes that's hard to discover without just banging your hands against the keyboard for a while.
Okay. All right. I'll think of that. That's what I'll do. Thanks.
Yeah, and if we can get a link to the Slack thread, adding it to this just for so folks can look at it would be awesome. Does this ring a bell to anyone based on what Daniel's description was? Multiple clusters. Cool. Well, go ahead, Ashtosh.
Yeah, I'm just trying to build context. If it is about if this question is about a thread that I've been following, so I don't know Matt or Jack or anybody else got a chance to, but I know Cecil was looped into that thread. So that thread was regarding Azure cluster identity, and that even putting a bad secret does not impact the authentication. Is this what we are talking about?
I think, yeah. Sorry, I just opened the thread and I saw that you replied a couple of days ago, and I completely missed that.
Yeah.
So I haven't even read through that. So thank you. I'll read through it and I'll. This might have been a.
Oh, okay.
Already addressed.
I didn't mean to speak over you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Cool. Well, if Ashtosh, you've already got a beat towards solving that problem. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we can continue this on Slack, and I think one good way I would do is like maybe file an issue describing the steps, and I can take a look at that. So I did take a look at one part of the problem that I understood, and I do see there is a problem. And the second part of the problem that you were trying to describe, I did not get a chance to test it. And if we do test it, and if it behaves the way you are saying, then I think there is something wrong with the way AAD pod identity is fetching its tokens. So yeah, that's all I have on that.
Yeah, thanks a lot for I think you tagged me as a different Daniel, and so I didn't see the update.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I've done that. I've done that to other. It's just it's hard with Slack, but I'm gonna read through it. So thanks a lot.
And I'll follow up with Daniel Smith to see why he hasn't looped in. I mean, not sure what his deal is.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay, Ashutosh, you look like you've got the next agenda item for workload identity. So go ahead.
Yeah, just one small announcement. Wanted to make that I was trying to make workload identity in to this 1.8 release very hard, but unfortunately I got hit by a couple of roadblocks. One was like there was I was not able to like test it to a CI because of a limitation in CAPI test framework, and the limitation is that I cannot actually provide kubeadm config patches. So, and then there, I also received feedback from CAPI team and Nadir, and it sounds right. The feedback sounds right to me, and I'm thinking that this would be the last kind of technical feedback that we are receiving, and I should act upon that and not rush to getting this done. So the implementation PR will still not get into 1.8, but my goal is to actually get a consensus on the proposal PR, and then at least I'll try to update it by tomorrow, the proposal PR, and see that it gets merged for 1.8, and then we can focus on workload identity PR. Also, I had pasted a message that because this is a critical and important change, if in coming weeks we make this workload identity to work and everyone feels right about it, then we can think about doing a exception release for this one as a workload identity enhancement in CAPZ. But yeah, that is when I have the PR ready with all the CI green. So does that sound right to everyone?
Yeah, I mean, it might be worth discussing the exceptional release thing. I think we would probably want to do a 1.9, like a fast track 1.9 release. So I don't think we would want to make an exception for big features going into a patch release. It seems like the more appropriate exception would be we release every 2 months sort of rule. So we could break that rule, I think, and be sticking to the overall spirit of our release process. But I think that's definitely worth having a conversation if we get to that point. If like a few weeks after 1.8, we feel like we have a stable workload identity feature and the folks want to use it, we could talk about a fast track 1.9 release. Does anybody else have any thoughts about that? Cool. Okay. Thank you so much for that update, Ashutosh. And of course, thanks for your stamina during this marathon. I know it's been a long, arduous effort. Super appreciated. Maybe I'll take a second to allow any folks to nominate any ad hoc topics before we go into milestone review, because that'll get a little bit in the weeds. So if anyone wants to talk about something, now would be a good time. Okay, great. Milestone review, it is, let me see, let me pull up. Okay. Cool. So as expected, we've got two milestones. We've got our active development milestone 1.8 and our vNext. So I'm just going to drill through 1.8, and that's a pretty good ratio. 125 closed, 20 open. This is going to be a big release. Seems like the last several releases have been very big, so no changes here. So what's the best way to do this? I'm just going to go down the list real quickly and try to be responsive. So if you have anything to say about any of these issues, please raise hand and I'll call on you, and we can perhaps do some triaging. I don't know anything about this one. Fixed diff for authorized IP ranges off the top of my head. I see Nawaz and John have done something on the PR. It's set to hold. I'm going to keep going down and try to be responsive to being interrupted. So let's see about this one is, I think, I'm going to just drill through. I think Cecile has probably linked this to the PR she's working on for our CI templates. Yes. Great. Okay. So I know that she's actively working on that because I'm actively reviewing it with her. So that's in process. Matt, do you have anything interesting to say about this one? Should we move this to vNext at this point?
I mean, strictly speaking, yeah, we'll still be using Go Auto Rest in the next release because we don't, we're not actually even planning to replace everything with SDK v2 or ASO by that point. So I guess by its title, we might as well just move this to vNext, but we're still working on it and things are going well. And John and I both have basically a POC of one or the other approach out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But given that our expected release date is next week, I think I would advocate vNext is the best place.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so next week we'll include this when we create our 1.9 milestone. So I will do.
And you can move the next one, Ashutosh's workload identity, I think, to vNext as well, right?
I think you're right. Okay, milestone next. Did that do it? Did that do it? Yes, 18. 20 minus 2 is 18. Okay, cool. So this one, the next one is mine, and I'm going to open up test grid. So this was more a this was a sort of tracking issue to keep us honest with end-to-end tests in preparation for the graduation of Azure Managed Cluster from experimental. So you can see that this was opened by David Tezar in November, and I'm not confident this is exactly up to date. In fact, I'm going to check this right now because I know that we're not going to do that. But what I wanted to do is just sort of suggest that I will be, and I think all of us who are interested in Azure Managed Cluster will be maintaining this as maybe, do we want to maintain this as a living document? So does anyone have any thoughts about what we should do with this issue right here as we prepare to release 1.8 with the graduated AKS? Should this become a static epic that tracks these particular identified things, or should it be a living document for a while as we anticipate maybe new users landing on AKS and discovering things that should be tested? Go ahead, Nawaz.
If you're thinking of in terms of releasing and then showing the changes we have already added, then I think we can split out the issue on the things which we have already completed, and the ones which are not done could be on another issue, which we put it in vNext.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just, the problem with closing this issue with these things undone would be signaling perhaps that we aren't going to actually do that work. So maybe,
Oh, no, I meant,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
mean, splitting it out. The ones which are done would be in another issue, and we would close that out, and that could be added as a release note. I don't know if I'm getting this right, but are you speaking in terms of showing that once we graduate this release, these are the things which we have added? But these are tests, right?
Well, I think what I'm really speaking towards is by having this epic as part of the 1.8 milestone, it allowed us to it was a sort of prioritization reminder that this was an important thing to work to make, continual progress on. And maybe, as I'm talking this out, maybe the obvious thing to do is just to triage this into vNext, and we can continue doing that, because this issue right here it really is an epic which links to other issues, as you can see. And so I can, and other folks can go and make sure that this epic is hygienic and that these checkboxes are manually maintained. And so we have to actually drill through. Like I've just checked this, but I noticed that this is actually not closed, so I can do this. I'm going to close that. So there is some manual curation required, but at a glance, it is useful to have an epic ticket like this that tracks end-to-end coverage. So are there any objections to me moving this to vNext and just continuing to do this work? Okay, cool. We can do that here. And I just wanted to emphasize that things are looking really great. So there's one failure I see. I'm not going to drill through right now. Over the last couple of weeks, and these tests include a lot more fidelity in terms of what they're validating than they did at the beginning of that. So that epic was created in November. So since November, we've added a ton of coverage, and we've also increased stability at the same time, which is what we're supposed to be doing. So this is really great and very encouraging in expectation of 1.8 with the graduation. So thanks to all who have helped out on that. Oops, too many, nope. And now I can't redo that. Can I redo that? Yes, I can, but I can't. Apps and browsers foiling me again. All right, cool. Let's go back here. So we should have 17 here. And this I'll kick to vNext as well. Is that right, Ashutosh?
He dropped already. Yeah.
Okay, but I think, was that everyone else's understanding?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, great. I know at least myself, I've been asked to weigh in on this. So we can see it's approved in LGTM. So I think that this just needs a little bit more validation. So the expectation should be that that'll land in the next few dev days and make it into 1.8. So this is in the right place. Should we move this to vNext? Sounds like we should, because we'll continue to work on this throughout the next development cycle.
It's kind of a tracking issue, but as stated there, we're not going to fix it for 1.7, and that wasn't really the intention. But yeah, let's move it to next.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess if it's not clear, my bias here is at the end of, now that we're nearing the end of this cycle, is to get this set of issues into only the set of issues that we expect to actually be released with 1.8 next week. So it should, at the end of this process, hopefully this will be a really small list. Okay, so this is a bug. What is this linked to? Is it linked? Looks like it's not linked. Okay, does anyone know anything about this and know if anyone's, okay, go ahead. Someone's raising their hand, sorry. Is that,
Yeah, so someone was working on that recently. There used to be a PR that was closed in favor of another one. And I know that because that's linked to another issue. So that's definitely the one that's closed. Go back. If you go to the very bottom, maybe. No.
Here's another, is this a PR?
So that's my issue, which we're not really working on at the moment because we reverted to machine deployment since then. So I don't know if you want to move it to vNext or vNothing.
Yeah, I think that unless we know that this is being actively worked on, it's not going to land in the next couple of days. So we should move it to vNext. But now is the time to raise concerns about if this is too low in the priority list. If the reason it's not being worked on is because we aren't doing a good job of prioritizing, that would be a good thing to call out right now.
I can search for the PR I was thinking of in the meantime.
Okay, do you think we should move this to vNext for now?
I'm not the one working on it. I just know there is a PR for it. So yes, but
well, let's circle back just in
yeah.
case you find a PR that's actually about to land, and then we need to just do the linkage between the PR and this issue. So if you could do that in the background, that'd be fantastic. And I'll move down here.
Yeah, gonna try that.
Okay, so this will move to vNext. That is workload identity that Ashtosh spoke to. And so it looks like both of these are related. So we'll see based on that investigation what we can do. Has Matt, you are assigned to this. Did you work?
Yeah.
Have you done some discovery work there?
I've done lots of discovery work. I took a couple days off from banging my head against it, but I'm back at it today. So this needs to be fixed for the release. So let's leave it in.
Okay, cool. Is there a PR?
There is a PR, but there's not much in it right now because most of it got hollowed out and made into a different PR last week that we merged. So because there were other problems that I was trying to glob into the same fix.
Okay, cool. Thank you for working on that. Nawaz, is this actively being worked on? This?
Not really, Jack. I think we can put this on vNext.
Cool. Okay, so we've got some comment in chat. Thank you. All right, so this is merged. Does that suggest that we should close that issue?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that. I just think that's related. So you might want to double check that.
I will ask, Brennan. So do we think that we might be able to close both of these two issues?
Not really. So as far as I understand, that's related to 2683.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, that one. The other one, which is the one I opened, so that's why I knew about this, is still a problem, but it also depended on this fix, right? So it needed this fix anyway, but that's also still a problem, as far as I understand, because I haven't looked at it in a while. But at the same time, I'm not actively working on that. Just wanted to highlight it because I see that one moving from next, right?
Okay, cool. Remind me of your GitHub handle.
Mine is Primerots.
There you go, Francesco.
Yeah, me.
Wonderful. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so it sounds like you are. Should we move this one to vNext?
Yeah, so I'm not working on it. So I don't know if you only have a vNext or you have a vNothing in here.
Right. Well, vNext is really kind of just like backlog.
Then absolutely backlog. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the process is that after we cut 1.8, we'll create a new milestone 1.9, and then we will source potential issues that we want to solve in the V9 cycle from the vNext bucket, so to speak. Cool. All right. So Matt's working on this. Do we know about John? I think that's your avatar. Do you know anything about this one?
Yes. So I have a PR open for that one that's kind of stuck in CI limbo. I'm just trying to get tests to pass for that one.
Okay, cool. Hopefully CI limbo is ascended to a different level of hell today than it was yesterday. Yesterday was in the 7th level, I think. So this one right here.
Yeah, this PR was even failing before all of the quota stuff happened. So
Oh, this guy, of course, I looked at this. This
But-
is a sort of mind-bending set of problems, very nicely triaged. Let's try to land this because it seems nasty. I also think just reading through the Azure policy stuff that the particular user is using to apply tags might have broader impact, and so we might have to do this in multiple vectors in our code base if folks are using that to automatically update resources in many ways, for example.
yeah, I'm thinking this is just isolated to managed clusters. But I think there's kind of another side effect where a lot of tags on other kinds of resources can't be updated. So
Right. Well,
that's
I was actually thinking
separate.
that you could potentially set the policies to update not just tags, but other bits of
Oh, I see,
metadata and
yeah.
resources that CAPC might race with. Or race is the wrong word. Go into terminal combat with. Okay, cool. I've assigned this to 1.8. I would be interested to like pair with you today at some point on that and understand it more and see if we can get it landed.
Sure, sounds good.
So do we fix 309, which is the one we're looking at? Awesome. Okay, great. Okay. So this is going to have 12 now. Okay, Willie, should we kick this one to V next? It looks like it was triaged here, but not finished in time. Does that sound fair?
It's just a little confusing. So someone like asked like where the file to fix this is, but they didn't like assign it to themselves or work on it. So I'm not sure if we should assign it to someone else or wait. If you click on it, there's like, you can probably see. I mean, it should be a quick fix. It seems like one of the newer contributors wanted to work on it.
Cool. I would advocate that we do all those things that you just listed in the next milestone.
Okay. Cool.
Because everything you listed sounds like the exact next steps, but probably not under the time crunch between like now and Wednesday or whatever it is. Cool. All right, thank you. This is also a bug.
This one I've been working with a new contributor and they've not submitted anything yet, but I'm hopeful that they will. It's
okay, cool.
Pretty straightforward, but maybe I scared them off. I don't know.
Very unlikely, but I'll kick it off to V next, and we can continue that effort. Okay, I see Cecile's name on this. What kind of progress do we have here? Okay.
I think she's been working on this pretty actively.
Yes.
But still a work in progress.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to just keep this in, and then the truth will all reveal itself in the next few days. All right. This looks like Willie. Have you reviewed this? Is this?
Yeah. So
LGTM'd it. Okay.
But that was like a while ago. I think there's been a few new comments that need to be addressed, and I think there was a comment Cecile made that the contributor was having some issues implementing. So I think this might take a little bit.
Okay, cool. All right, I think this is going to land, right? Maybe this already landed and just didn't get closed. Nawaz, Azure CNI has landed, right?
Azure CNI, not really, Jack. I mean, they shared the daemon set. There are a lot of puzzle pieces around. This issue aims to club them together and then put it out. So really hoping to get this in. So I think I'm almost there. Just need to run.
You've got a PR. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like the PR should be assigned a milestone. So I'm going to do that. Okay. We already talked about that one. All right. That's it. So all said and done, there's probably 6 or 7 tasks here. So probably all these won't land, but this seems like a fine list. Go ahead, Willie.
Yeah, you're gonna are you able to move the add support for cluster class and manage clusters to NetV next, because that one's blocked on cluster class being implemented, like the managed cluster class being implemented in CAPI. So
Got it. Yeah, no, I totally missed that. Thank you so much.
no worries.
Okay. Cool. Nice clean list. So we'll see how this looks a week from now. Any final comments on 1.8 triage? Is it worth, actually, let's really quickly go and see. I think we can at a glance see which of these don't have milestones attached. I'm not going to worry about these. I'm not going to worry about those because those can get these. So for folks who don't know, when something lands in main branch, we have automation that automatically sort of back assigns that PR to the active milestone. So when these Dependabot automated PRs land in main, they will get that milestone tag. This could possibly not land, so I'm not gonna do that quite yet. This was in response to yesterday's Dependabot DDoS against cloud provider Azure, which resulted in a whole bunch of resources not being cleaned up. Go ahead, Matt.
I think number 3201 should merge ideally. We're just trying to get the unit test to pass, which seems not that far away.
Cool. So milestone v1.8. And this is going to land. Let's see. Anything else interesting here? I'm just going to add this to VNext. It's not part of anything, just so we're reminded. I think we want to possibly add that to 1.9 next week, so save ourselves some time there. And I'm going to aggressively add this to v1.8. Cecile can push back if she doesn't agree. This can go to VNext. Okay, I think this is good enough. Any final comments? Great. All right. And this should really just be feel free to add your agenda anytime between now and next Thursday to the next week's office hours. 16 minutes of our time back. That sound reasonable? Great to see everybody.
Thanks, Jack.
See you online. Be well.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.